no live streaming while this is going on, you certainly can record it and upload, play it back. Okay.
Thanks, guys. Just finished up day 2 in the shorts. So the fashion show's over. We get to put the pads on, find out a lot more about our team. You know, I'm not fired up about shorts because a lot of guys don't look as good when you put the pads on as they do with the shorts. But we find out tomorrow when we start topping a little bit. I've really been pretty pleased with the enthusiasm of the team. A lot of leaders leading and guys pushing each other. A little hotter today than it was the first day. First day we had practice backed up due to finals. Today it was a little bit hotter, and I think the players are starting to get a little more acclimated to that. Trying to keep their yardages down with GPS, which is tough. They have a good practice. It's hard sometimes to keep them under 6,000, 7,000 yards, so that you start worrying about hamstrings and soft tissue injuries. But excited for where they are. We've been able to work a little bit on special teams and punting. We've been able to do a little bit on field goal team. So those two special teams units have been at the forefront, and then everything else has been base offense and defense.
Our special teams, you know, you talked about that a lot yesterday. Y'all actually putting more time, kind of when you say you put more emphasis on it, kind of what are you?
Well, it's hard to put more time on it. We tried to add a minute to each period that we had last fall, which is actually a lot. When you think it's 2 or 3 minutes a day for 27 days, that's a lot more time. We're also doing some walkthroughs in the morning, which we only did a little bit of that last year. So we're putting an emphasis on that way.
How will you, the kicking situation is really interesting with a couple other guys that compete with Rodrigo. How will that be decided? I know you guys chart kicks every day and certainly during scrimmages.
It'll be charted exactly like you just said. I mean, it'll be every day competition. That's why we started kicking and punting early. I mean, we always start punting early. We don't always start kicking early. We started kicking early, because we wanted to work on our protection scheme, but we also wanted to do some 2-minute situations where a guy had to make a kick to win the game. You know, so those guys are going kind of head to head and kicking, and then the 2 guys at punting are kind of going head to head. And we'll see how those situations come out over time. So it'll be a day 1, day 2 cumulative effect. We won't kick every day though; that would wear them down. So we're going to go about 3 days on, take 1 off, 3 daes on, and just put all those stats together, try to make the best decision.
If I could follow on Marvin, is he just showing up, or has he been here before?
He was able to come in the summer on his own and do some things. Yeah. So he was legal to come in the summer and be around the players and do some stuff with them, which he did.
And what have you seen of him? I mean, so
far.
Well,
I only seen him in 2 days because I wasn't able to work with him prior to that over the summer. He did conditioning drills, but I never saw toe meat leather. So he's done a good job. So has Rodrigo. The 2 guys for the first 2 days have both kicked good. One kicked better the first day, one kicked better the second day, but they'll keep competing.
Kirby, with Lorenzo entering his last season, what are you looking to see his game improve at in particular?
Yeah, you know, with Lorenzo, it's always a work in progress as far as he's great energy. Like, the guy gives great effort. He will always have an extra effort board. He is almost always on top of that. The thing we encourage Lorenzo to do is play more physical on dominant run teams. And I think he's taken ownership in that. He reported to camp, I think, around like 250. And what we're trying to do is say, okay, last year he reported it this way. By the end of camp, he was this way. What did he lose? We're trying to monitor that closely and keep that weight on him. Because he does. He has high yardage. He burns weight really fast. So our goal is to not overwork the guy in camp to the point where it's 240. We want him around 250 at the end of camp. So that's the goal, and I think he can improve on his pass rush. He can improve on his knowledge of the defense. But the best thing he's improved on is the relationship with the other players and being a leader.
Kirby, you talked about the team being more mature back at SEC Media Day. You kind of touched on this in the beginning. Are you seeing that play out in these first 2 practices, having a more mature team?
Oh, we are more mature. There's no question. Yeah, we got an influx in the freshman group, but we're no longer like 60% freshman sophomore. It's a little bit more like 55% freshman sophomore. We have 2 large classes of freshman sophomore, but our senior class this time has more guys that are mature in their factors in the offense and defense. So the leadership factor is a lot better. You know, I mean, a guy doesn't come out to practice tape. It's never a senior. It's one of the rookies. Guy's late to a meeting. It's not one of the seniors. It's one of the young guys getting lost. So those guys, the mature guys, have helped lead the younger guys.
What has J.R. Reed done to impress you, through the spring, summer, and now, and also what would that mean for Aaron Davis? Obviously, he got some star work at V-Day.
Yeah, I think J.R. Reed is probably one of the guys I've talked about the least. That's probably the most interesting, I would say. I mean, here's a kid that we took as a transfer, and we didn't know a lot about him. Okay, we thought he was a good player. We knew his family and his dad, and really, when he first got here, we knew he was fast, but he didn't know everything. Well, he really did a good job of learning everything last year on the scout team in the spring, and he was one of the surprises of the spring. Now, I would reserve judgment right now because he's only got 2 days body of work, but when we go nickel, which we are a lot, he's become a starter, and he's very intelligent, he's fast, he's a good tackler, and he's been one of the surprises in an area we needed him. So he's playing the position that AD played, and AD's playing the position Mo played. If somebody can play that star better than AD, then he might go back there with JR. But if AD can play the safety better than JR, he might go back there. We're going to kind of keep mixing parts in there, so we got some injury answers.
Kirby, in 2005 you were here, and that was an older group too, with like Greg and all those guys. Can you feel? I mean, you just talked about the percentage of older guys getting bigger. Can you feel too that the older guys are on offense or even in more important positions, so to speak?
I would agree with that. The problem is the quarterback that year. And it's such a critical factor that guy was not only a mobile guy, but he was a senior. I mean, he had been, think about it, it was his 4th year, or maybe, I don't know if it was his 5th or 5th, it was his 4th year in that offense.
Yeah.
So it was like second nature to him. I was a rookie coaching the running backs, and here he is. He's a vet. I had a room full of running backs I remember that was similar to the ones we had now. I mean, it was Danny Ware, Craig Lumpkin, Thomas Brown, Tyson Brown. I mean, they were loaded. And there's a lot of good talent there. That part's similar, but the experience factor I don't think is exactly the same on this team. And we have some good youthful O-linemen here that, I mean, I'm excited about the O-linemen after the 2 practices, but we haven't put the pads on. So it's like, who can really tell right now until they start getting really exhausted carrying around 25.
As far as as far as the secondary, you're talking about, you got all these guys back, but do you feel like there's a number 1 lockdown cornerback that this guy's taking the other team's best receiver? Is that guy on the roster?
I don't know that we've developed that. I'm very confident in Malcolm Parrish and DeAndre Baker, but when you say number 1 lockdown, I don't really know how to define that. I mean, I don't know if you're saying first round pick. Is he going to stop everybody he plays against? I mean, our guys complete passes on him out there, and I don't know if we have a first round wide receiver, so I don't know how to measure that per se. I'm confident that they know what to do, and they really compete hard. The freshmen are going to compete with the older guys. The older guys are doing a good job, but I mean, we still have room for improvement in the secondary. And I keep harping on, it doesn't matter if you started 100 games. It matters how you play and how have you played in the secondary. I mean, okay, 5th. I'm not used to being 5th in the conference. That's not the standard at the University of Georgia. So I don't want to be there. I want to be 1st in the conference.
What's that 5th? Got 5th in
5th in passing, defense, or total defense.
rating or?
Yeah, in the SEC, I would say we're 4th or 5th, something like that. We go through the stats, and that part we can improve on. Well, if we get the same people back, there's no guarantee that we're going to move up. We got the same people back. We have to challenge the people that are here to get better, and the new players have to create that competition. I mean, J.R. Reed has to create that competition. Amir Speed, William Poole, Breeny, all those guys, LeCount, Gibbs. I mean, everybody's got to factor in to make us better, because just because you have the same people back doesn't make you more effective.
Talking about those young defensive backs, how much mixing and matching are you guys going to do as far as trying guys out at corner, trying guys out at safety?
Well, in our defensive scheme, we're trying to put them in the right spot from the beginning, because it's tough to start moving them. We've had some situations like Breeny's worked a little more at safety, and he played a little bit of everything in high school. Poole's played some star and corner. The Speed's been mostly just corner. Eric Stokes been mostly just corner. Some of those other guys have been safety. Richard LeCount, Gibbs has been a nickel. So we're trying not to do the whole mixing and matching with them. Let the older guys do the mixing and matching and get those freshmen in a spot where they can provide depth or compete for a starting job.
Well, you've talked a lot about what the standard is here. Do you think that message is getting through to your program as well as sort of the ethos that is Georgia?
Well, I don't know about the ethos that is Georgia, but I know that it's getting through to our players, and that's what matters to me. I mean, the organization understands that, the coaches understand that, and the players are beginning to understand that. They understand that it doesn't matter what you did yesterday, it doesn't matter what you did last year, and it really doesn't matter what you do tomorrow. It only matters what we do each day. And as long as they can focus on that, I'm completely happy. And I'm just challenging them day by day to go out and give me all they got, and trust that we're going to back off of them when they get really exhausted and tired.
2 more questions.
Kirby, from a coach's perspective, is it different at this point this year evaluating Jacob in practice when he's kind of the definitive starter, as opposed to last year when there was like competition going on?
Oh yeah, it's extremely different. I mean, Jacob still has a lot of room to improve, but I mean, it's a lot better off as far as understanding the command of the offense. I mean, you can only imagine the number of reps this guy's taken in that amount of time. So he's a lot further along. But Jake Fromm's a lot further along than where he was at this time last year too. So that part's good.
But from a coach's perspective, do you maybe focus on him a little bit more, knowing that he's going to be on Easton a little bit more, knowing if he's going to be starting day one, or if you still focus on the three of those guys?
Oh, I'm focusing on the development of the entire team. I think that's the most important thing to do. The quarterback position is an integral part of that. But I got somebody, offensive coordinator, that I pay to focus on that as well. So I try to spread my focus around, but the quarterback is the sole guy that decides a lot of plays and puts you in the right play. So that part is very, very important.
Coach, talking about improvement, you talk a lot about it with the players. Were there any areas that you specifically focused on you wanted to get better? And I know you guys go around to other campuses and stuff. Did you do any kind of go seek out any kind of consulting or anything this summer?
Talk to a lot of head coaches. I always do that. I mean, I don't like to get specific about who, because that's not really fair to them. We ordered a couple things we bought through the athletic department that we think help us in 2-minute situations that occur throughout the year in NFL and in college football. So I think as a coach, you're always trying to grow, and you want to see how guys managed or mismanaged situations, so that when that situation comes up for you, you're more prepared to manage it. Okay? Thank you, guys. Hey, just want to leave a note. Bill's clear to go.
Bill is.
Who can tweet